and welcome back to the NAS Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to, of course, another Metaltober edition of Album of the Week. This, of course, is episode number 30. So, for this episode here, I'm, of course, spotlighting a particular album, and definitely one that brings a lot of nostalgic memories for me, and is still a played album to this day. However, to actually honor this album for sure, there's only one way I could honor this album. And what could it be? What could it be? Oh, I know. Yes, this is definitely the only way I could definitely, honor this album is, of course, to actually do it in front of a camera instead of just, audio-wise. So, of course, what you can tell by the whole, of course, what's playing in the background, and, of course, the title is, of course, none other than Fire in the Brain by Oz. Shit, I actually forgot to also pull out my CD copy because I own 2 copies of this album, and just I guess to show more of how much I love this record, basically from Finland's own Oz. So, before I really get into actually talking about this album, of course the band before this actually had an album released, of course being titled, or actually went under 2 different titles, being of course Heavy Metal Heroes, of course also being just self-titled, all with 2 different covers, one showing the band on the cover, or one just being plain black with the logo there and the title saying Heavy Metal Heroes, Hey You. Then after that, some of the members would leave and get replaced with a bit more other members. I think only I can't remember which one stayed in it, but I know one of them I think stayed in besides vocalist A.P. Martini. But they then get signed or do a deal with Combat and of course Wave Records to, even though they were with them before, but to basically record this very album. Then of course after this they'd release Third Warning, and of course Decibel Storm, and of course even releasing a 7-inch title, Turn the Cross Upside Down. But then, of course, after that, again, they then release Roll the Dice, and that was the last thing they released until years later they would come back and then release this very album right there, Burning Leather. And of course now, after that, A.P. Martini ends up leaving the band, leaving only the drummer left. Which I think the drummer is the one that I think stayed in the band from the first one. But, because of course he's like the only original member left. And of course they released Transmission State. So, let's definitely get back into actually this album and focus on it. And, what can be said? This is a fucking great heavy metal album from start to finish. It's of course 28 minutes long, really almost as long as an EP. But it's 8 songs, and it's just all killer heavy metal. Very much, though, not too off of what the whole new wave or British heavy metal movement was doing, really, with bands like Saxon, or Tigers of Pantang, Raven, and so on. Of course, then later on with like Savage and Tokyo Blade and or Jaguar and those kind of bands. And that's what you kind of really get here with. Is of course more so close to it's like Savage and Tokyo Blade and those kind of bands. Even the Ebony Records bands and stuff. It's like this is what you're gonna get here. Of course, songs like Searchlights, Fortune, Megalomaniac, Black Candles, Gambler, Stop Believin', Free Me, Leave Me, and of course the title track that ends the whole entire album. This is just killer from start to finish. Nothing bad on this album. but still, there's just nothing bad on this record. The production, definitely raw. Of course, back. But again, the production's raw, but it gives it its charm, just like those Ebony Records bands. Of course, speaking of Megalomaniac, Janet just starting off with a great guitar solo here from... I don't know which one is really pulling off, whether it be Speedy Fox or Spooky Wolf, which, of course, they also mention some of the band members have synonyms. Of course, again, guitar player being Speedy Fox, and the other guitar player being Spooky Wolf. The only ones of course, bass player name is J.C. Blade. So, the only ones I don't have... Oh, wait a minute. Actually, drummer is titled Mark Roughneck. So, really, there's definitely quite a bit of synonyms or names, whatever. But still, there's just nothing bad on this album. It's just all rough, raw, heavy metal. Again, this is definitely one of the more Saxon kind of tracks off this album. Like something off of like Strong Arm of the Law. Just great stuff. There's nothing, and of course, just nothing bad on here. The reason I always go off because it's really kind of almost exciting, really, just to kind of, again, really talk about such a great heavy metal album. I know I'm not the only one. I know Vinyl Transmission, he of course talked about the sound before and did a great length of all the songs, and me, I'm not gonna really completely do that because really the album itself is enough to be spotlighted. It's just heavy, raw, and of course even having a bit of a nasty vibe to it that just really gives it. Of course the artwork, everything being all iconic, which of course the guy who's, of course, holding the hand there, of course, is the late Quorthon from Bathory, which both Oz and Bathory were actually featured on the first Scandinavian Metal Attack comp. Just great stuff. Of course, even musically, songs like Black Candles and Fire on the Brain, Searchlights, at times don't even also stray off like Merciful Fate. But though the singer Ape Di Martini I can't compare to King Diamond. So with that, this definitely has gone on a little bit long here because to be quite honest, I can talk all day about this classic. Just a great heavy metal record. So with that, if you've never heard this album, you could definitely check it out. As far as buying a copy, the cheapest you could probably find this is maybe under $40 or under 30 is probably the cheapest you'll find it. CD copies, don't waste your time. I was lucky to even get a CD copy when it was repressed back in 2012, but until then, since then, it's went back into being out of print. And this album, depending on what copy you'll find, I think the cheapest was probably going to be the combat pressing, because I think the wave pressing is probably the most expensive of them all, especially besides the Japanese pressing. But still, with that, you're just going to have to get quite lucky when it comes to finding a copy of this. How I obtained a record copy was actually from a good friend of mine, Bip Bop Boom. So with that, great album, classic, obscure heavy metal album. So with that, hope you all enjoyed this episode. So until then, this is Every Thrash of Sam out. I'll see you all later, or I'll see you here real soon again. Take care, everyone.